Welcome to the house band, and I'm Danny Black, and we got Chris on guitar and Horatio at the bottom, and this is episode 269 of Hobby Hotline. What's going on, guys?
What's up? Another Saturday.
Right. Well, we got a big Saturday. We got college football. We got baseball playoffs. So how about a little morning show to get everybody started? Going to try to keep up today. Good morning, folks. What's up, Clean Cheap Shots? What's going on in the hobby? And I thought we'd have a little bit of fun today. We've had too much seriousness, so let's talk about some of the stuff going on and get right into it. If I can figure out all my buttons here. 2 cards, 1 bounty. So we've already talked about what's going on. We've already talked about Topps making a mistake. If I'm correct, it was 95 cards. It's Danny and the Dodos. That would not be my band name, Ruben. Mad City Brew, what's going on? So Topps produced, I think it was 95 cards that they produced one-on-ones that actually they produced duplicates of, if I have my numbers correct. And what I thought was a pretty good idea is they put a bounty out, a very high bounty, an extremely high bounty, to try to recover the duplicate cards. I guess I just wanted to, talk to you guys. What's up, Philly Joe? And think, first of all, what do you think about the idea of solving the problem with the bounty and then the prices that they're putting on them? Horatio?
Yeah, I mean, my biggest thing is, who balks, right? Like if 2 people have the Superfractor, who's the one turning it in, right? And what if they both get turned in at the same time? I don't know. Does the offer stand for both?
I think it's the
only for the first.
Whoever's first. Okay. And then how do you know who submitted it first? And then what are they doing with the extra Superfractor? That's kind of like what I'm wondering, on Topps' end. As far as the prices go, I think it's fair. I think Topps is doing the right thing with by the consumers. I think that they kind of had they're saying this is our fault, quality control, whatever the case is. And while they are overpaying for some of these cards, or maybe, it seems like they're overpaying now, right? There could be the next Mike Trout in there. There could be the next whoever in there. For the moment, it looks like they're trying to do right by the community and trying to fix it as best as they can. So it's good to see them do that. I read that it's somewhere upwards of $700,000, like the entire amount that they're kind of offering for all the cards, which is, a good chunk of change. For Topps, it's probably a small dent, but it's still decent.
It's a lot for 95 cards.
Yeah.
Chris, first thoughts for how the whole situation, how it was handled from a marketing.
Well, first of all, I think I should explain that it is considered standard operating procedure for card companies to print a little bit more than they put into the packs. So for a parallel that's serial numbered to say 99, they'll print like 10 extra cards for damage and quality control purposes. That way, if you pull a pack and it's either grossly off center or comes out of the pack with a dent corner, you can send it back and they'll give you another one. So that's why they printed 2 Superfractors for each card. Second of all, I mean, this is the second straight year Topps has had a serious quality control problem with a Chrome product. Last year it was in Topps Chrome where they forgot to include the high number short printed rookies, and they kind of resolved that with those silver packs that they distributed and with the MVP promotions. I'm going to be careful saying this, but under Fanatics ownership, Fanatics doesn't exactly have a reputation for quality control in most of their products. It was a news item here in the Philadelphia area because the Eagles are going to be wearing Kelly green uniforms. They brought them back this year. And it finally went on sale. And a lot of the numbers on the front were applied diagonally instead of straight. So, and these were directly from Fanatics. And we've seen stories of a lot of Fanatics merchandise having problems like that, like a New York Islanders t-shirt that said Rangers on the front but had the Islanders logo, things like that. So is this going to become more of an issue as Fanatics' ownership of Topps continues? Okay, now let me get to your question about the bounties. Yes, this is more the kind of bounties that Topps is putting out there. I think the lowest is $3,000 and the highest is something like 25.
And it's set based upon the priority of market value,
perceived value of the card. So this is the most amount of money that these cards are ever going to sell for, if you think about it. I mean, if you think about the history of the Bowman brand ever since they brought in the Superfractor, between the three flagship Bowman products, Bowman Chrome, and Bowman Draft, there are hundreds of prospects that each have a Superfractor. And you could probably count on one hand the number of the cards that will be hobby relevant in about 5 or 10 years.
That's a good point.
Just go on ComC right now and type in random year Bowman Chrome refractor, and you'll see Bowman Chrome Superfractor, and you'll see Superfractors for like less than $100.
You'll see Superfractors of guys you've never heard of.
Yeah, from like 10 or 15 years ago. So if Topps is willing to give you $3, $5, $10,000 for a Superfractor of a card that more than likely 5, 10, 15 years from now will be worth $100 at most, you'd be stupid not to take that. Cash in now. And I gotta think, does Topps really even need to pay this much? Are they a bit overcompensating with some of these bounties here?
Well, let me catch up on a couple of comments because I think it speaks to it. And Philly Joe says, I don't think it was a mistake. I think it was a calculated marketing ploy by Fanatics. Bravo, Fanatics. And then Vintage Card Collector says, Tinfoil Hat Brigade out in full force. So I guess we got two sides of the same coin there. 2 years in a row, one, shame on me, two, shame on you. I guess, every year there might be something. As far as selling the cards, Orlando says, take the money and run. Couldn't agree more. And real quick, just because I'm a big fan, and I've been to the store, Rex, how are you doing from the sports card shop? So glad to have you and glad to be on the screens there. I'd be curious from people in the chat room how they feel just about, how this was handled and if they would take the money. And then the question is there going to be a secondary market for some of this if you're not sure the first card's been redeemed or, I believe they are publishing a list of cards.
They are publishing a list and on Topps website, they do mark which bounties have been claimed. So
that's only fair.
Superfractor of a guy that's been claimed, too bad. You got yourself a Superfractor.
Horatio, before we move on, if you pull a Superfractor, how quickly are you getting to that Topps website to see if it's...
First thing I'm doing, because like Chris said, I mean, they're overcompensating. It kind of makes you wonder why they're overcompensating. And, the comments are saying, it's one big old marketing ploy. Do they have to do that though? I mean, is that really kind of, bringing more eyeballs to Topps Fanatics? Is that really I don't see the end game here, right? Like, I mean, are people becoming more fans of Topps now because, and Fanatics because, because they're overpaying for a mistake? I don't know. I don't think so.
Randy says that he would sell every high price card I pull. He couldn't get 330 for his Oscar Colas now. I do remember when Oscar Colas was the hottest thing. Rex, who runs a shop, says, no way Topps did this on purpose. David Adams Tops BBCE already had bounties on the 101 Ruth to drive sales for Bowman Chrome. It's an excellent point. This was a mistake, and they're doing something to fix it. Good on them. I think backing that up, Bo, first of all, good morning, Bo. This was certainly not a marketing ploy. So, and then we have, I don't sell, I would keep it. I don't know if that's tongue in cheek or if you really would. I'd be curious. It might depend on the player for me, but I don't think there's anybody in this set. I think Ethan Salas is the highest priced one, if I'm correct, a catcher for the Padres in their system, international signing. All right, moving on. You guys got anything else on that?
No, just
Yeah.
I think it shows also just how much money they have, which is great.
Take the money and run.
Yeah.
Both of you both said money at the exact same time. So I think we know what might be driving this hobby. A little surprise. Keep collecting, kids. Moving on to from that, the Tacofractor. Everybody knew we had to talk about it, but I also wanted to talk about an important topic that all of us constantly battle with. If you want a taco, where are you going? So let's start with the Tacofractor card. There was a parallel with a taco, and it turns out there was 299 different players. Do I have that number correct, guys?
And a wild card.
And number 300 was the wild card. So the promotion turns out is a Taco Bell promotion. And if you have the card of the person who steals the first stolen base in the World Series, you win what they're calling a lifetime of Taco Bell, which is a $15,000 gift card, which I got to be honest, for some people might be a month, other people might be 2 lifetimes. In college, it would have been more like a month. Bo, if I want a taco, I can tell you the last place I'm going is Taco Bell. They do have a other nickname for a reason, maybe. I'm just curious from you guys, what do you think about this as a marketing idea? And Chris, I'll go to you first on this one. Do
Taco got the other part of the prize.
Oh, the wild card?
5,000. I think it's like $5,200 in cash from Tops to pay for taxes.
Oh, I you know what?
So it's almost 20 grand.
Well, covering the taco tax is important. Yeah. Bo says if I want a lifetime of Taco Bell, I would sell it faster than a Tops Superfractor buyback. That's very funny. So Chris, what do you think about this? I mean, does this drive anybody to seek out the cards? Is this? I mean, Taco Bell has done promotions with the World Series in the past.
Well, first of all, you can't really seek out these cards because they're serial numbered to only 5 copies. I mean, you can't find these cards even if you wanted to.
Yep.
So why seek them out? So yeah, it seems to me though that when the first wave of Tacofractors came out when Chrome was released, that this contest really wasn't a part of this, that they may have just thought of this a couple of weeks ago.
Like we made a card with the taco, quickly justify it?
Yeah, to try and look, I have no problem. The Tacofractor, yes, it's stupid, but stupid does have a place in this hobby, okay? I remember when, Fleer made like those cards that look like a Dunkin' Donuts cup. It was called Dunk and Go Nuts.
Yep.
I mean, that was stupid.
But that was also not licensed. But that was not licensed.
Of course not, but
Of course not. That 70s card show, I'd rather have a new Perez Diamond Immortals out of $4.99, which did ship in the last week or so, than any modern one of one. Yes, and I'm not going to post, but love you, John. And then now we're talking. See, this is serious stuff. And I had dinner there last night, so this is just not lip service. Give me some Waffle Fractor and a lifetime of All-Star Breakfast from Waffle House. Focus
Don't
Telephoto.
give them any ideas. They'll actually do it.
I would be opening up packs like I haven't since I was 6 years old. I can tell you right now, bacon, egg, and cheese bowl, hash browns, gotta go. Horatio, tacos, Tacofractor. Where do you stand?
Wait, Horatio, what's your Waffle House order?
Yeah,
What's your go-to?
I keep it simple, man. The Waffle House, I make sure it's hot, coming straight off the griddle. So just 2 scrambled eggs and some hash browns.
Okay.
straight up.
You know? Straight up. You know, with
anything in the hash browns?
Nice coffee. Oh yeah, I put ketchup on the hash browns for sure.
Oh, that's a whole separate episode.
Yeah,
Tacofractor.
Listen, I think it's like, I think Chris said, like, I think they put in this taco thing not knowing what it was going to be, but I think it's turning out to be pretty brilliant. So for one thing, right, it gives a card, it's out of 5. Yes, it's limited, but it gives a card actual worth. Okay, so it's not like a PSA 10 of 20,000, right? That's worth $100 for no reason. Like, this card actually has monetary value because 5 of them, you get $15,000 worth of Taco Bell, through your lifetime. So they're committing $75,000. It's got people talking, and it could be anybody. It doesn't have to be a superstar player, right? It could be a bench warmer.
Well, they've got to make it to the World Series, though.
They got to make it to the World Series, yeah. So that is true. But that, again, so who could that be? That could be, it could be anybody, right? It could even be they accounted for that with the wild card card, where it could be a guy that they didn't even print a card of. So that's where the wild card comes into play. And there's just so many things that you could do with it. Like, I would love it if the guy or the woman that wins the card, that has the cards or the 5 cards, if they're like a vegan health advocate, so they have zero purpose really for the,
Oh, you could get the bean burrito.
You could get the bean burrito, sure. But then also where they make their own food, they're very meticulous about what they eat. And then, like, man, this could go a number of different ways. Like, what if this person says, I'm going to donate my $15,000 worth of Taco Bell to a homeless shelter. And then Taco Bell comes in and says, we're going to match that with another $15,000. And, hey, don't yuck somebody's yum, right? Like, people love Taco Bell. Some people love it. And, maybe it's not my thing, but, hey, you could do worse than donating $10,000 worth of food to a shelter or something like that. My mind just goes differently. And what if next year we have a burger fractor? What if the year after we do like you said, a waffle fractor? I mean, this could be like a yearly thing. I'm giving them ideas, Chris. I think they should run with this.
Rex says Tacofractor is not a terrible idea, but it's being poorly executed, in my opinion. Too many players out of the playoffs. Several others have 0 stolen bases on the season. Absolutely good points, but I will say the wild card with the pinch runner is the only thing that, to me, I just think is a fascinating option, because it could be any team, any player, and in the playoffs, it doesn't have to be a 9th inning. It could be earlier on a double switch or something. So that to me is interesting. Ruben, I want a crab cake fractor. Well, we know in Maryland there's 2 things we do: crab cakes and football. So there's my movie quote for the day, and it was post 1985. All right, so. The Tacofractor, listen, I think Taco Bell has done, I think the last couple of years they've done promotions with the World Series or Fox or wherever the promotion is with. I think it's an interesting idea to bring more people into the game. They're obviously a successful franchise, as a restaurant, even if they're taco something else, and it's more of a rental program than a permanent buy service they offer. But I think, anything to bring attention to the hobby, I continuously think is a good thing. What if, somebody becomes, a PC collector of Ronald Acuna, because they followed this or something else. Maybe there is, a silver lining to that. Mookie says Taco Bell promotion sounds like a real world Willy Wonka. They should let you make your own tacos. Top's thinking outside the bun. That's hilarious. If you remember those commercials. Chris, favorite food that you would do not on an Allen Ginter set?
My favorite food that I would do what? I'm sorry.
Not on Allen and Ginter. You'd make into a Tacofractor, or what would you make?
That's a tough one. How about a lasagna fractor?
I could kill
But
some
instead of numbering them to
cold lasagna
5,
right
you
now.
make them actually collectible for people. Don't make it too tough.
Oh, that's awesome. Why not just tell us what the prize is going to be up front? Rex, I agree with you. That might have been a better way to run the promotion all season. I mean, can you guys imagine if all season we knew this and you were collecting players and you're following which teams were making the playoffs? I mean, how exciting would that have been? So that,
But that's the thing. They may not have thought of that at first when they issued the first wave. They may have thought of this concept. This is just me talking. I think that Tops and Taco Bell thought of this contest like 2 or 3 weeks ago, or the product that had when did Cosmic Chrome come out? When they put the wild card in, that's when they thought of this contest. So
that's about a month ago.
Yeah, the show and me, the odds were insane. Cannot imagine replacing that with $15,000 of Burrito Supremes and Baja Blast.
Baja Blast Zero Sugar is like nectar of the gods for me. Oh, I can just mainline that stuff, man. Just inject it into my veins like Barney on The Simpsons with Duff beer.
That's hysterical. This is awesome. I once won a ticket to the top 70th anniversary party. That's awesome. Anybody else ever won something in the hobby? I'd love to know that. You guys ever hit a redemption or anything big in a pack?
I got a redemption for a card, but I mean, I sold the redemption. I was not going to wait for that card.
Anything good?
No, was Isaac Paredes. Isaac Paredes, he was with the Dodgers at the time, got traded to the Rays like a rookie, his first Bowman.
He was a decent prospect at the time.
He was, yeah.
Bo says, if the Topps marketing department couldn't pull off this collab better, you really think they've been pulling off these other ploys? ? It's a good question. I also think there's something to be said about a company being acquired, and there's some growth and a learning curve, I think, on any business, and I just wonder how long that goes for. Rex says some Tacofractors went for upwards of $4,000. I think most people wouldn't put up a $4,000 for a chance to win $15,000 worth of Taco Bell food, especially given the odds. Well, that's a fair point. Do you think that, Horatio, you think there would have been any money or
$15,000 plus that $5,000 check? So
very important.
Remember that
the taxes get paid.
Yeah.
David, I get no luck with packs. I don't either. My wife does. I don't get it. Horatio, what do you think? Would there have been any value to these if people knew what it was?
Not long term, but I think that if Top sticks with it, right? And I know the donut fractor, the coffee fractor, the taco fractors will forever be tied to 2023. And so if every year you have this, right, you can run with it. It's sort of like tacos were like the first, right? And yeah, that does leave a legacy. I gotta say, man. I mean, look, it's a fun thing. It's got us talking about Taco Bell. I would never talk to you about Taco Bell otherwise. So yeah, I'm just saying. I think they're onto something. Even if it was a mistake, Chris. Even if they came up with this idea 3 weeks ago, it's the right play. Maybe they can execute better.
They're making chicken salad out of chicken, or actually they're making chicken soft tacos out of chicken, what. So, good for them.
2 comments here. First of all, Horatio, I love that idea of making it kind of tied in with the year and whatever was popular, in pop culture that year. Make that the food of the year. I'm sure there's some award that somebody gives out for food of the year. I mean, they do color of the year. Bo says, we, general blanket statement, give Topps way too much credit or way too little credit, depending on our own opinion, how it fits our perceived narrative. I couldn't agree more with you, Bo. I think that's fair. We're all human beings, and that's absolutely a fair comment. This is important. This is one, if you want to mark this, timestamp this, guys. Go where the fans are looking to lure. Buffalo Wild Wings, a wings fractor. Lifetime wings that pay for itself with beverage purchases. Hard to have wings without beer. And of course, Chris, taxes would be covered on top of it. I got that. That's just fantastic. I don't know if they can give away the beer, but I love that idea.
Yeah. Chris, you're not a fan.
Look, I've said this is the whole concept is stupid. The Tacofractor. Sometimes stupid works, but I don't think it worked in this case.
We might have a
Even
mic.
with this promotion, it just didn't work for me.
Well, this would be a mic drop. A panini.
Panini.
I'd
Maybe
be
they
keeping
have
that wings
panini
fractor.
refractors. You redeem it for a grilled cheese sandwich.
Here's a great comment. Did anyone see the Topps booth, the National? 90% of the folks were under the age of 25. Who do you think is pitching ideas of product meetings? The adults, zero chance. It's a very interesting comment. Horatio, what's your thoughts on kind of the age of the workforce and how that impacts some of this?
Yeah, 100%. I think, I wasn't at the National, so I don't know, but the comment resonates with me. The young collectors are different from when we were collecting. And they have so much outsized influence because of how savvy they are with social media. I think they have more money than we did. I don't know if that's just me. My
kids have more money than me, so
yeah. I had $10 maybe and go once a week and go to a shop and buy some stuff. These kids are carrying on cases with slab cards, with 100 slab cards in them. I don't know what's going on. So that's true. And so the demographic, Taco Bell, they've always been on the cutting edge of marketing to teenagers, to the college age. So there's that.
Yeah. Mookie says yes, Chris, but stupid is often fun.
Yeah. There's a place for stupid in the hobby. I'll admit.
I'll admit I contribute to it. So nobody's kicked me out of the hobby yet, but day's not over. All right, I think we have covered the Tacofractor more than I've wanted to talk tacos this entire week. For people who do content creation, I got to tell you, there is a limit sometimes to how much tacos you can talk. And I am at my limit of taco talk for the week, guys. But I would like to move on to something that I think has flown under the radar a little bit. And I don't, let's get one more comment in. When running a promotion, you generally let people know what the prize is before the promotion. Topps went reverse and it built the hype. People spent a lot of money and got disappointed. Charles, some truth in there. I think that's a fair comment for the people who bought the super fractors or the Tacofractors at high prices. But it is interesting, the reverse hype. Thank you. All right. So MySlabs. Horatio, you want to fill people in or what they've been doing for a little bit of alternate fundraising?
Yeah, in the last week or so, I've gotten 2 emails from MySlabs. I do have an account there, where I have put up some cards. I've never sold any of my cards up there. I just kind of tried out the site. I listed a couple cards, explored a couple other cards. And so it was about a pre-raise. So MySlabs is kind of, looking to grow their company. I was always attracted by MySlabs because they got a lower seller's fee, right? They took like 3%, I believe.
I think they started at 1 and bumped it up. Yeah.
Bumped it up to, they started at 1, bumped it up to 3, which is still great. eBay's taking about 13% plus those 30 cents. And they also were very serious about the return policy. They were serious about protecting the sellers there. So they're one of the companies that have done really well by the hobby, I would think. They got a strong reputation. And so now they're looking to grow. And essentially what they're doing is they're allowing, everyday collectors for a minimum of $100 to start investing in their company before the bigger investors come into play. And as of today, I think they've raised $115,000 from 100 investors about there. So I love it. I love the alternative investment space, right? Where we're talking about investing in things outside of, traditional stocks and bonds and things like that. Here's an opportunity that you rarely get. I don't know how many other opportunities everyday collectors, for a minimum of $100, you can have to invest into one of these, big companies. which MySlabs is not an eBay or a PWCC, but they're trying to get there. So I do appreciate the fact that they are going to everyday collectors first, see how much they raise. They eventually want to become an auction house. That's where they see their future, where they can start auctioning off coins, collectibles, toys, things like that. One last thing, actually, very important that I forgot is, it seems to me that they've grown slowly. They've taken kind of an organic growth. You see a lot of these companies usually when they start fundraising, they grow way too fast. And then they start fundraising within a year of existence, and then they can't catch up to what they actually want to do. I feel like they've kind of taken their time and now they're ready to take that next step. And it's just something cool to see in the hobby, to have a company reach out to the community, say invest in us before we then go and try to get the big bucks.
Chris, without it being MySlabs specifically, do you like the idea of people being able to get in where it's typically been venture and bigger companies that have bought ownership? Is there any attractiveness to you to be able to invest?
I mean, it's really no different than, say, the Kickstarter model that
Sure.
you see, like, filmmakers, help me make my documentary, chip in a few bucks on Kickstarter. I don't think we've seen something like this in the hobby before. It's different. What I want to know is, I'm not really familiar. I haven't used MySlabs. How different is it from other marketplaces like eBay or PWCC or Golden? And it seems like that their selling point is lower fees, but if the fees are too low, can you be profitable with that?
Well, Rex says, we've used MySlabs in the past with solid results. Vetted sellers, zero tolerance, low fees, all positive things. Having said that, I can't see how they're making any money with the current model. So, Chris, to your point, it is interesting.
So maybe they're selling shares to ordinary people just to fund the operation. That's not good. That's not a good sign if it's true. But
well, here's another interesting point. Charles T says, have to be careful selling on MySlabs. They don't capture taxes, and sellers don't understand they are on the hook for them with the new $600 rule. I don't know how up to speed you guys are on that, but that's, I think, still being debated if it's going to end up at 600 or 2,000. But either way, in general, people should be aware of getting taxed if you do too much. And Rex says, I love what MySlabs is doing, but I'm not an investor without understanding a path to profitability. That's a fair comment. That being said, I have been a seller on MySlabs. I do better as a buyer. I think it's a fantastic platform. I do enjoy buying on there. I've had very good results without any BS or garbage from other sellers and it being straightforward. I don't know about people in the chat if anybody's used MySlabs. Horatio, have you had luck selling and buying, or just one direction?
Not selling. I bought one card off of there. It was smooth. It's just a peer-to-peer transaction. Just like you would at eBay. The selling point is the lower selling fees, and on the buyer's end, kind of you get a little bit more of. You do have to be vetted. By that, you kind of have a little small application, right? You kind of maybe send in your eBay profile, make sure that you're at 100% feedback. Which anybody can kind of do that sort of if they want to trick it. Not investment advice. I think that one of the things that makes it unique is again, like Chris said, like I don't recall anything like this in the hobby. They did in their kind of pitch say that since they started, they've sold $80 million worth of GMV, which is like gross market value. So $80 million worth of product.
And that's the retail value of the cards that they've sold is what that means.
The retail value. Yeah. But yeah, definitely, like, you got to do your research, right? It's not just like, hey, here's a company with great reputation, throw your money in there. Also with republic.com, one last thing I should add is when you do commit you're making a pledge right now. So they're not actually taking your money. You're just making a pledge. I'm interested in investing $500. They're not going to take your $500. It's just a pledge. And then they go from there. So it's a big difference where, you're not necessarily they're not taking your money currently as it stands.
So if and when this company becomes profitable, do they plan on paying out dividends to investors or what? What do I get? What do I get for my $100?
Yeah.
In other words,
Yeah, go ahead, Horatio.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the big vision, right? I mean, that's the big question. Like, is their goal two things? Either they're going to become the next golden auctions, right? The next PWCC, with even more things, or are they going to become, or are they looking to get bought out so that, you know, if the company right now is valued at, I don't know, I'm throwing out a number, $100 million, the bigger fish will buy them out at $400 million. Do you see that happening? So then you 4x your money in 2 to 3 years. So that's the big question.
Mike Petty says, I've used them to buy 3 or 4 times and it was fine. I've never seemed to find anything I like on there. Many of the dealers asking the moon. I did a bunch of quote MySlabs on there to look at them though. I got to tell you, Mike, I agree with you in general. However, I will say I've low offered people on MySlabs with a lot of success. The retail prices, I find that people are willing to come down. Maybe the cards have been sitting on there for a while, and they're happy to move them and get something for them. But I've had a lot of success with that. Rex, yeah, I think they're up to 3%. Either way, it's a tough model. Mike did not pledge to invest. I haven't pledged yet either. I'm still up in the air, but I do like the concept of somebody not VC being able to invest in a company in the hobby. And I am curious in the chat if you could invest other than Fanatics, maybe what company you invest in the future of the hobby. And I'll throw that to Chris and Horatio. Of all the kind of the companies that are going, do you see anybody out there that you like as far as some of the tech or the startups? Because it seems like it's a tough market. I don't know that I feel 100% comfortable with anybody, if I'm being honest, outside of Fanatics. I'm sure I'm forgetting someone. Please tell me. Orlando says online marketplace is a very tough market to compete in. Anything you guys like?
Far as I think Beckett is a bit of a distressed asset.
That's a good call.
I mean, at one time it was called Beckett Media. Now it seems to be like less of a media company and more of a grading company. I think they need to invest more in that media part and not just magazines either. But
well, they have so much value in their database and their market. Yeah.
Yeah. And look, I mean, it's probably the number one news source in the hobby is Ryan Cracknell at Beckett. I mean, they should add more editorial to that. I'll just say that.
Yeah.
Kevin Isaacson's listening.
I'm sure he is.
I'm sure he is, and I may be available soon. I should have said that.
Horatio, I just want to get this in real quick. I would invest in Papa Breaks because it's such a great concept, breaking. Yes, that's probably a fair concept, the breaking model. Now, I think that's going to fall under Fanatics in general in the end anyway. So that's why I took Fanatics out of this. And Orlando, I could not agree more. There are so many companies moving into the online marketplace space. It is very tough to compete in. And then just to clarify, Charles says, Rex, I'm talking about the taxes the buyer should have paid on the purchase. MySlabs isn't collecting them. As a seller, you have to collect them for each state. MySlab puts that on the seller. I'd have to look into that. I do not know the fine print on the taxes. Are either one of you familiar?
Yeah, there was a Supreme Court decision a couple of years ago that mandates that if you sell something online, you have to collect state sales tax from the buyer, even if you're in a state like where I'm at in Delaware, when we don't have a sales tax. If I were to sell something to somebody in state, I don't have to, collect sales tax. But if I were to sell something to you, Danny, in Maryland, I'd have to collect 5% Maryland state sales tax. But a lot of the bigger online companies like Amazon, eBay, they do that now for you. They will collect the sales tax and take care of that on their end. But Apparently, this platform, MySlabs, doesn't do that. But you are responsible for collecting that state sales tax, even if you don't live in that state or reside in that state. So,
Yeah, absolutely. Horatio, platforms that you like to buy and sell on?
eBay, right?
The
eBay,
800 pound.
eBay still, yeah, eBay. I like the community on Twitter as well. I like,
How is that? I have not messed with the community much.
on Twitter.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's you got
for buying and selling. I mean, yeah.
It's great. It's great. I mean, you got people that you become familiar with once you make a couple purchases from them. They look out for you. Sometimes they throw in an extra card. What they'll also do is they'll look out for cards they know you collect, and they'll kind of tag you whenever they see somebody else selling it. So I do enjoy that community aspect of it, where they're giving you a heads up. Hey, here's something you might like, and even if it's from another seller. So it's cool. I like the Twitter community. A lot smaller. It's a lot harder to sell stuff on Twitter, but it's always good to just be on there and kind of check out what people are selling.
Kind of like a Facebook Marketplace.
Yep. Kind of like a Facebook Marketplace. Yeah. And I've never had a bad experience ever. So I've done upwards of 50, 60 transactions there. So.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
That's legit. Okay. Chris, I know for a fact because you and I visit the same LCS. Shout out to Mel and Bel Air Sports Cards. And we've also hit a lot of the same shows. So I know you like buying in person. Online, do you buy and sell at all?
Every once in a while, I'll buy something on like ComC or eBay, but that's about it. Most of my purchases are live and in hand. So
I tried ComC for the first time about a year ago and put 200 some cards up there. All, I would say 90% of them under $5, $10. I have had minimal success on ComC. So if there's anybody who's successful selling on ComC, I will take any tips other than the fact that I know I'm not overvaluing them because they give you that range and I'm not the high side. But maybe I need to be the bottom. Bo says I've had far fewer issues on Twitter than on Facebook. Groups, not marketplace. That's an interesting comment. I to be fair, I don't buy on Facebook Marketplace, or I just haven't done it so far, and I've been told that's a big mistake. So if people are buying on Facebook Marketplace regularly, let me know how much of a mistake I'm making. I'm sure it's huge. That being said, we've all got some cards to show that we acquired somehow or somewhere. Chris, you want to go first?
All right. So we were talking about Mel's place, Bel Air Sports Cards, in Bel Air, Maryland. He just opened up a new location.
Yep.
I think this is now his third different location in 5 or 6 years. So it's good. He keeps growing. It's we here on this side of the Bay Bridge, we really don't have any card shops. So Bel Air, even though it's a 2-hour drive, is pretty much my de facto LCS. And
isn't that crazy, Horatio? I just got interrupted. 2 hours he drives. That's if you guys want to know the passion of a collector. Good job, Chris.
Yeah. Anyway, a couple of months ago, Mel bought a collection, and it was sorted by player. And I picked through the Ken Griffey Jr. box, and I found a case hit insert from like 99 Metal Universe. And I was going to buy it, but then Mel kind of picked it out, and he said, I think I'm going to set this one aside and sub this to PSA and see what I get. And it came back as a 7, and which is good because that's pretty much what I thought it would be. It's this 99 Metal Universe linchpin. And the thing with this is that these pins are all die cut into the card.
That's crazy.
So it's really cool. And I think the reason why I got it 7 is this corner right there where it die cuts into the corner. So it's not really straight or clear, but
It looks like one of the dots cut
This
right
is
off
a
the
big
edge.
card. This is a big Griffey from the 90s. And I'm glad that I got it. So
here's a shout out to you, Chris. You go to an NSLCS, a not so local card shop.
Yeah, I mean, and I think a lot of people may not realize this, that people that live in rural areas, Walmart and or Target is our card shop. So for those of you that live at a place where you have like 2 or 3 LCSs within like a 15 or 20-minute drive, have some compassion for folks out here that got to drive a little bit to get to a decent card shop. So,
Mike Petty answering the previous question. I seem to like to buy from dealers in my network. I know from Net54, eBay, and on Facebook groups. Still make $500 and less purchases from eBay. Great comment, Mike. Good to know. I definitely am expanding as I'm working on some more of my PC stuff. Chris, shout out that Griffey is sweet. It is very sweet.
Yeah.
Horatio, speaking of sweet, what you got?
Well, this is for all the Swifties out there. I actually bought this card, no lie, and I had no idea. Bought this card like 4 days before they made it official. So I got this. I always just love the chrome and his expression, because I'm gonna show another card. So this is one of my latest pickups. Let me see if I can get this straight here. Whoop, there we go. So it's the Travis Kelce Topps Chrome rookie card. I'm sorry for the reflection there. But so when I saw it, and the reason I got it is because it reminded me, I collect 48 Bowman football. So Kelsey's one of the greatest tight ends. He looks just like, it reminded me of Pete Pijos. Look at that.
Oh,
the same kind of expression,
You just went next level, Horatio.
And I just loved it, man. I was like, 2 great tight ends in the history of the NFL with kind of, similar, pictures there. And so I loved it, man. Yep.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And the other card you already had, right? Because you collect vintage football.
Yep. Pijos I had already. So when I saw the Kelce, I was like, that's Pete Pijos, and it's another, and it's so I love that look on Kelce. He's not in a uniform, he's just kind of wearing that United States Under Armour shirt. And it's just kind of a random, hey, take a picture for us, man. Got him into the studio, and I think it was cool.
But did Pete Pijos date one of the Andrews sisters?
That's funny.
Man, the whole history. I think I don't want to speak. These guys, they have such a history. These guys, these vintage guys, you read about them. Some of them dated, Miss Americas and things like that. So wouldn't be out of the question.
If you ever want good stories, find Dandy Don Meredith, former quarterback of the Cowboys. That's an adult Wikipedia page, I believe. I am very proud that I've finished off the 54 Orioles team set with the very unknown Dwayne Pillette. My favorite fact on here is that in June of 53, the Yankees had an 18-game winning streak. The St. Louis Browns had a 14-game losing streak. And pitching for the Browns, he won and beat the Yankees 3-1. You don't get stuff like this anymore. The St. Louis Browns moved to Baltimore in 1954. So this is the 54 Orioles team set, the first year in Baltimore. This was a solid $15 buy on MySlabs, by the way. Solid $15 buy. So for the cost, less than the cost of grading, or the cost of grading now, I guess, I was able to get the Dwayne Pillette. So I'm thrilled to finish that off. Guys, what's on your hobby weekend? Chris, I always
not this weekend, but in a couple of weekends is Chantilly. So I will be going there.
I'm still up in the air.
As far as today, I'm going to a soccer game later on tonight. Last home game of the season for the Philadelphia Union. Still fighting for that number 2 slot in the East.
Well, you're my soccer guy. How do I get my money back on my Messi Apple TV deal?
You mean you don't want to watch the other 28 MLS teams?
No, I don't. And I pay I paid for the Messi deal. Yeah, I guess that's another conversation.
Yeah. Actually, on Wednesday night, the Chicago Fire sold out Soldier Field for Inter Miami, and Messi didn't even make it to Chicago. But they got a good gate. Hopefully, Chicago's kind of been like one of those kind of irrelevant for the last decade, and hopefully with this will put a boot in their rear end and put a good team out there. So,
on a separate comment on investing in franchise values, if I win the lottery, I'm putting money into MLS and NWSL. But separate conversation. Horatio, anything on your hobby weekend? Anything planned? Organizing, cleaning, buying, selling?
Yeah, I gotta pick out 5 cards to grade. I'm gonna pick out just 5 random cards sent to PSA this weekend. I'm gonna go to a new LCS that opened up about 30 minutes from here, and so they do submissions, and so I think that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna pick out 5 cards, send out a PSA. So
fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate everybody joining us. I'm going to end a little bit early today, but I want to thank everybody. Chris, Horatio, appreciate it. For everybody in the comments, great comments this week. One of the best shows that I've had in a while, just being a pleasure. Go Maryland, go Orioles. Been waiting all show. All right, guys.
Keep on rocking in the free world, folks.
There you go. Thank you, Chris.
Thank you.
See you.